All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We got another Raiders video for you here on Raiders Daily. All right, we're going to talk here. It's the dead season of the NFL offseason right now. And I got to say, as the time goes by, I'm getting more and more excited for Jimmy G and this Las Vegas Raiders team for the upcoming season. We're going to dive into it in today's video. The point is this. The season is going to come down to essentially Jimmy G this upcoming year. Now, there are going to be some things like, is Josh Jacobs going to be a Raider next year? Is Davante Adams going to want out? How's that offensive line looking? And the big question, what's that defense looking like? You know, are there big improvements? Are there improvements? Are there new star players? Are guys turning into stars like Double D? Like, I get it. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down like the win total, the playoff push, a rebuild. It's all going to come down to Jimmy G. All right. I think the pairing of Josh McDaniels and Jimmy Garoppolo, I think it's going to work. I really do. If Jimmy G is healthy, if his foot is healthy, I think the Raiders will win at least 8 games this upcoming season, guys. When we dive into it, like, first off, before we even get into the roster, you know, the Raiders killed it in the draft. Pick number 7, you come away with Tyree Wilson on the edge. Now you have Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, and Tyree Wilson. On paper, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. I have full faith Tyree Wilson, at worst, will be a super quality starter in the NFL. But you get a little bit deeper. Michael Mayer. I really like that draft pick. I am a Notre Dame football fan, so it is a little bit biased, but I love it. I think at the end of the day, when his career is over, or in his prime rather, I think Michael will be I think he'll be a top 5 tight end, but I think top 10 is more, not realistic, but just, you know, being a little bit more safe, I guess, a safer pick. Anyways, I digress. Byron Young, Trey Tucker, Jacorian Bennett. Extremely excited about Jacorian Bennett. But the Raiders had a good draft, all right? When we get into the depth chart, when we take a look at the offense in general, technically right now I still have Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs will be in a Raider uniform this upcoming season. That's a whole different thing for a whole different day, for a whole different video. But Josh Jacobs is one of the best running backs in the National Football League, as we saw last season. You have the best wide receiver in the National Football League in Davante Adams. And now you have Jacoby Myers. You still have Hunter Renfrow. You know, kind of waiting to see what his future was looking like in Las Vegas. But, I mean, right there, that's like 3 really, really good wide receivers. All right, that's one of the best wide receiver rooms in the National Football League. If all 3 of those guys are healthy, you're looking good. Trey Tucker. I'm extremely excited about Trey Tucker. But just as it stands right now, even some of the smaller moves that they made, like Philip Dorsett, you went out there, you picked up a couple of tight ends. Austin Hooper, O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard, more of a blocker, more of a depth piece, veteran guy to have in the locker room. Austin Hooper and Michael Mayer. Next season, it's going to be a good tight end group, and it's going to really help out Jimmy G, and it just adds more elements to the offense, obviously. So when we talk about the offense, we take a look at the offense, especially on paper, I have no concerns. And we even dive into statistics. You know, last year, it's kind of hard to use statistics for the Raiders last season as an indicator for this year because we had a different quarterback, right? We had Derek Carr being our starting quarterback. The offense last year was so inconsistent. It took like half of the season to get that offensive line to just, you know, a sturdy, solid, reliable, like consistent formation. The offensive line took many, many weeks, all right? But they still ended up with the 12th ranked offense in the league. Rushing the ball, receiving the ball, none of that's changed outside of your starting quarterback. Jimmy G, once again, I mean, you know, if you're a football fan, you know Jimmy G, right? You know he's led the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl. You know he's led them to a really good really good regular season. I don't need Jimmy G to be Patrick Mahomes. I don't need him to be Jalen Hurts. I need him to basically limit turnovers, right? Don't make stupid mistakes. Don't throw double coverage, triple coverage, you know, like, don't make stupid turnovers, right? That's obvious. And stay healthy. That's really all I need him to do, because I think at the end of the day, Josh McDaniels, as much crap as he might get for his past season, or just like his entire head coaching career and the tenure of that, you know, with Denver, and last year kind of dumpster fire with the Raiders going 6-11. After making the playoffs, you know, I get it. The morale right now surrounding Josh McDaniels isn't as high as I think all Raiders fans would like it to be. But at the end of the day, no matter your thoughts on Josh McDaniels, he's still a really smart offensive mind. And he's going to put Jimmy G in positions to succeed. I think Jimmy is literally the perfect quarterback for him to have. So, offensively speaking, if I have a healthy Jimmy G and I have a healthy Davante Adams, and I know health is like a big contingency, more so with the starting QB with his previous injuries and just the fact that he's injured right now. If Jimmy G is healthy, the Raiders offense, I have zero concerns at all. Defensively speaking, was where all the flaws came in with the Raiders last season. They were the sixth worst defense statistically. They gave up 25 points per game. We saw a bunch of blowouts, or just rather a bunch of games just giving up way too many points. The defense is the big question mark, all right? But I'm feeling hopeful. It's year 2 under a new defensive coordinator, so you're going to see improvements in general. I really am enticed by some of these pieces on the defensive line. I love Max Crosby. I like Chandler Jones. I love Tyree Wilson. Even guys like Neil Farrell Jr. I remember scouting him when the Raiders picked him up last season. We take a look at the linebacker room. There are definitely a bunch of question marks at the linebacker room, but at the end of the day, Double D, my boy, if he didn't go down last season, I mean, he was on pace for a crazy tackle number. Double D, I think, is one of the most intriguing young linebackers in the league, considering he used to be a safety. This guy's extremely versatile, and that's what you want on the defensive side. That's what you want in every football player and every sporting athlete you have across all the sports. Versatile players. Those work for sure. The secondary, even more questionable than the linebacker unit. What's that secondary? How's the secondary going to look? Nate Hobbs, intriguing players. Nate Hobbs, you have Trevon, Duke Shelley, a kind of under the radar move that the Raiders made relatively new into free agency, or fast in free agency, that I think really went under the radar. If you talk to any Minnesota Vikings fan, they're not thrilled with losing Duke Shelley. They also rounded out with guys like David Long from free agency. You draft Christopher Smith at that safety position. It's an intriguing young group of players, and somebody's going to break out. One of these young cats is going to break out. Maybe it's a rookie. Maybe it's a second-year player. Maybe it's a guy just getting a fresh start on a new team like Duke Shelley. Defensively, I think they will be slightly worse than the middle of the pack. I think defensively, they'll be somewhere between 15 to 20. All right? So I'm not saying the Raiders are going to win 14 games next season. I'm not trying to. But what I am saying is the Raiders are in a win-win position, because basically Jimmy G is healthy, your offense looks good, your defense improves, and you win 9+ games, you're in the playoffs. Or Jimmy G either sucks or is injured, and the Raiders aren't a good football team next season, and now you have a top 10 pick, and there's 4 quarterback studs as it stands right now that are going to be available, or at least a couple of them. So let me know what you guys are thinking. As always, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily Raiders content. I'll see you guys later.